All right, guys, Shay Myers with Owyhee Produce. I am on the inaugural start of the Produce Common Sense podcast. For the plethora of you that don't know me, I'm a third-generation farmer, and I've been back in our farming operation since 2005. I have a lot of special guests that'll be part of this introduction episode. And the reason that I'm going to have all of these folks here is because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all these other people. And these are everyone ranging from my grandmother, who's sitting next to me right now, to my Uncle Craig and my mom and my cousin Chase. And there's just too many of us for me to even name everyone right now. But I hope that you'll follow along and be a part of the podcast. The idea of this podcast is to produce common sense, to share insights about where your food comes from and get into the details in some aspects, and also to talk about other parts of the community and the world that we live in, to try and interject common sense and understanding about all things. So I hope to learn along the way, and as I'm learning along the way, I hope to bring you along with me as I'm learning. So without further ado, I will introduce you to my grandma.
I am Colleen Frohr. I am grandmother to many children and grandchildren and 4 children. We lost one he drowned in the irrigation ditch of ours, but he was a good kid, was learning a lot of things in life. I have enjoyed life. I have enjoyed being around farming all my life. I still take care of the books and try to pay the bills, and hope to be able to be part of the family for as long as I can mentally do that.
How old are you now?
I am 87, almost 88. This November, I will be 88 years old.
And she can outdo a lot of people in their 40s and 50s, for sure.
Well,
I'm serious, too.
It's a challenge to get up. Sometimes I don't want to do all that, but it makes my brain try to be alert and to stay alert. Sometimes people think I'm not quite with it, but I'm trying as hard as I can.
But Grandma and Grandpa are the reason that I'm back here. They started in the mid-1950s.
1954.
1954. Grandpa came back from the Korean War and worked for...
He worked for my father for a year or two until we could try to get enough money. He came back from the war with very little money.
And they worked really hard and created a legacy, something that that's really what brought me back to the business. Grandma will agree here, probably, that I'm not a very good farmer.
Oh, you're a good farmer, but you're probably a better seller.
I'm a better seller than a farmer. She's saying that because she's on camera right now, but I'm not very good at fixing things. We can agree that I'm not very good at fixing things.
That's true. You have yet a lot to learn.
A lot to learn. Well, or a lot to learn how to enjoy when it comes to fixing things. But Grandma and Grandpa really created something that was really special that I wanted to come back and to help grow and to be a part of. And along the way, and you're going to learn this as you listen to the podcast, they let me make lots of mistakes. And because we learn from those mistakes, and I hope that I can, do the same thing as I go forward. If you could look forward, what would you like to see us as a family, myself as an operator, what would you like to see us do differently? What's the trajectory change that you would like to see?
I don't know if I want to see anything different, but I would like to see you close as a family and as a farm family. And that looks less likely to happen more all the time because of the problems that come into farming. It's hard to be in farming and obey all the rules and follow all the new kind of directions like you're hearing. But I would like you to stay as a close family and be caring and loving of everyone. Now, I want to say that I hope that this is interesting to people that see it. We know we're not any better than anyone else. We're hard workers. We just try to make a good living and be good people. The farm is life. It gives us life and a reason to be alive and a reason to church. We've all learned how to work. Maybe that we've learned that too much because we don't know how to quit sometimes, but we all work hard and have all wanted the farm to be part of our lives.
No, I think you can all figure out why Grandma's been such a powerhouse, and a key figure in the farming operation and how important she is in every aspect of what we do as a matriarch, as a board member, and as a grandmother.
Thank you for being here, for taking this, Shay. It's always good. It's hard to get Shay to sit down this long. It's good to be able to catch him and let him talk this long to me. He's a busy boy.
So now I have my Uncle Craig here. My Uncle Craig is probably, well, I can say for sure that I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even be in the farming operation if it wasn't for him, because he was a huge piece of generation number 2. So we still have generation 1, 2, and 3 all working together, which is pretty unique to have 3 generations working on an operation together. I'll let Craig do his introduction, but I'll say that, Craig has a great willingness to take risk in some ways. I think farming is always risky.
Yeah, risk.
But he's willing to take risk on people and letting them learn and advance and improve themselves, and realizes that you have to be able to let people stretch their wings. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We've certainly grown crops where we thought we would make it work, and crops where we haven't made it work. And so that's kind of a summary of how I see my Uncle Craig, aside from all the things that he's done as an uncle and a father figure for me, and all the things he's done in guiding me within the business.
First, I'm Craig. I was born and raised within a half mile of where I presently live. Been there for a long time, so a lot of years. Just so everybody knows, I was involved more in the farming, the agriculture side of it, and we were growing commodities for other packing facilities. My grandpa Bybee started a packing facility in the 30s, and then that went bankrupt in the early 70s, or didn't go bankrupt, they just dissolved and became another entity that my uncle ran. And then, but my dad had been part of that, and he could see that there was an opportunity to vertically integrate. And we had talked about that many times, and we thought, we're growing all these onions and we're just making a little bit on them. We might as well be making the next step. And so we, when Shay wanted to come back, we thought that was a great opportunity, and timing was great. The market was extremely good that year, as good as it's ever been since I've started farming, and gave us the cash to be able to do our first packing shed in Nessa. And we would not have done that without Shay. Shay was the tool that made that happen. We started pretty blind. We did not have any idea what we were doing. We just knew that it should be better than what we were doing. And so we started that operation. We rented a shed in Adrian the first 2 years. And then after we had that good year, we built the facility in Nessa and started. And then we had a snow impact that collapsed all those buildings. And when that happened, we moved to Idaho to get away from the politics of the Oregon side of the river, which we farm on both sides of the river anyway.
What would you say the single biggest change that you've seen in your lifetime?
Technology, without a question. I mean, that's one thing my dad hated. He had a tractor that we still have that he loved, and we use it on the farm still on a regular basis. It's a 285 Massey Ferguson. There's no electronics, there's no GPS, no anything like that. And that was his favorite tractor because he could hop on it and get done what he needed to do. He didn't have to turn the GPS on to make it drive and get the rows straight. He liked that. He took a lot of pride in making rows straight. Very tasking job, because you had to look down the row exactly straight ahead of you and drive straight all day. And when GPS came out, he thought that was a terrible thing, because then it took the pride away from a farmer and it made it too easy, and everybody could do it, and you didn't have to have that skill set to be able to do that job.
With that, we'll keep introducing. I think got a couple more family members. I'm not going to get everyone here just because there's so many in this group that are participating. How many? We're at 8 families now. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't really.
A lot of us.
A lot.
And we all contribute in different ways. You're going to see that. You'll hear that as we have these conversations and introductions. We're just all doing different aspects of the business, and it's not, it requires all of us, just like it requires really all of our employees. every person has their point of contact and their contribution, and they are the difference between a loss or a win. So now when you get into a multi-generational family business like ours, you get into these strange situations like the one with Kirk over there. Because Kirk and I are like cousins-in-law.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think that's
pretty much
probably
what it
a
is.
term.
Yeah.
That we're cousins-in-law. So when you work with family and you've got multi-generation, so his wife is my cousin. I work with Craig, his father-in-law, every day. And Kirk came back in when?
2012.
So tell us about yourself and how you ended up back here.
Well, I was
You
a
have to start
fabricator.
with your name.
Kirk Sessions. I started out being a fabricator for a good 10 years. And I met Jordan in Utah. And we decided to come up here after a year of marriage and become a farmer. And that is the biggest learning curve I've ever had to learn.
So you were like a city slicker and then you came to the country?
Yeah, I had country in me, but mainly city slicker, yeah.
Did you wear boots before?
Yes.
Okay, so at least you wore boots. Okay.
Boots,
All right.
hat.
So you came in 2000 and like, what's 8 or 9?
2012 I came here.
Oh, 2012.
2012, March. Yep.
So what was the most surprising thing when you came back to the farm? Like what surprised you the most? Like what you expected farming to be, but that wasn't, or that you expected farming not to be, but it was.
So everything that I was taught in school, learned, whatever, I honestly thought farmers tilled the ground, put the seed in it, and that was it, right? That's not it at all. There's so much more that goes into it. It was shocking at first. It really was. A lot of other things I didn't expect is mainly the water, the spray, all that other stuff. It really blew me away. It's a big difference. A lot of people don't really understand where or how your food is grown or anything like that. And I even had that disconnect coming up here. So being up here for this long has made me really open my eyes to a lot of things.
So what do you tell like your old friends, right? Your city slicker friends. Sorry, city slickers. What do you tell them? Like, or what do they ask you? And you're like, no, it's not like that. Is there anything like that?
So they think I sit in the cab of a tractor all day and just let the GPS drive me around. That's not the case at all. Managing farms, water, spray, people, the ground itself. What kind of crop can you put in this type of ground? Things like that. It's not just sitting in a cab all day at all. Do a lot of manual labor, a lot of interaction with people, more than I ever thought there would be in farming.
Which is the reason for the podcast, right? Is to share that knowledge with everyone else. And the reason that you find me on social media and stuff like that, it's the going back to the core of like how our food is actually produced. And I found that it surprises many, many people, which has led me here, right? Which is why we have the following on our social channels that we do. It's the content and the idea of, the knowledge that you can gain by watching what actually happens behind the scenes on a farm.
And there's a lot goes on behind the scenes for sure. A lot doesn't get doesn't get seen by the public at all.
Right.
And there's way more than anyone would, that I thought anyway. Just my personal experience. So it's been good to learn. I've learned a lot in the last 9 years. So I'm still learning. Every day's every day's a school, I should say. Honestly, I like being outside and the reward at the end of the year saying, yep, I grew that. And if you screwed up, it's, yep, I still grew that, but it's not good. Just the reward of being outside all the time. You get to watch the health of the plant, watch it nurture it and grow it. And it's just, that's my biggest thing is the reward at the end of the year. See all your hard work come to fruition. The ingenuity that comes out of a farmer. They can make a mountain out of a molehill, literally. You can patch anything on the side of the road and make your machine work for a couple days. Ingenuity is pretty good. There's another one. And just, I would have to say you'd have to have a good aptitude for this type of stuff. I mean, if you don't, you're in the wrong business. You're done. And I think I fill out those pretty good. I like it a lot. Shane knows I might screw up a little bit. But
Yeah,
here and there, like everybody does, right? Everybody has their screw ups, but at the same time, you take your lumps and you learn from them.
Nobody said what I thought they would say.
What's that?
Hard.
Hard?
Yeah, I feel like it's so stinking hard.
It's hard, but you become accustomed to it, right? So it's really not that hard anymore.
I guess maybe because I'm trying to sell everything that nobody wants to buy right now. Like, I guess maybe that's where
I can see your challenge for sure.
Okay, so now we have my mom here with us, and she is the reason that we are in. Yeah, it's her fault that we do fresh pack onions, and the reason that it hurts that it's her fault is because in what did we just decide?
1999.
99. We lost our asparagus contracts for the asparagus cannery that was supposed to be taking our product in the here in the Northwest, and so we ventured into fresh pack produce, and Mom made some great contacts and learned a lot of lessons, and I think that's probably why Craig and Grandpa thought we could fresh pack onions. I think.
Yeah, I think they thought it was easy.
Yeah, it's easy. And so because they saw that was happening and that it could be done, we now pack, a few million bags of onions every year. And that process, every step of the way since we started, in fact, when we started, I have to put this out there, when we started, my mom and my grandmother had a clothing store. And I mean fresh packing onions back in 2005, 6. Mom thought she was still going to come to work part-time at the packing shed.
Yep.
And she was going to do, keep running the clothing store. And that wasn't even close to really being able to happen because it took a lot more time, which you already knew. Why did you think you could do that?
Well, because I thought you were going to have me help sell, so I was going to come help sell till 11 o'clock. I didn't open the store until 11 o'clock, and then I was going to go run the clothing store. But it took a little more than that.
Okay, yeah. So, in fact, I remember almost living at the packing shed leaving at midnight and coming at 4 a.m. It was terrible. And we couldn't even count inventory. Keep track of our inventory. We were I remember she'd lift me up on the forklift and I'd go walking between the racks to get counts on pallets and bags. And that seems like something super simple to all of you that are listening. And it should be, but when you're doing packing all day, anyway, this is way before computers were keeping track of your inventory. So, not that they weren't there to do it, but we didn't have the software, so we would.
We didn't know what we were doing.
We didn't know what we were doing. So everyone, meet my mom, Robin.
So I am Robin. I am the third child of our family farm. I'm involved in probably several aspects. I work a little bit helping on the farm side of things, trying to keep things organized, but mainly here at the packing sheds, both here at the onion shed and asparagus. Hopefully not the watermelon, at least not as yet. I try to order parts. I collect money. I keep all of our licensing and registrations, that type of thing in order. I'm kind of the finisher-upper. Shay kind of starts things, a lot of things, and doesn't always finish. And so they get handed off to me and maybe some other people here in the office, and we try to finish and complete those things. That's not always an easy task either, but it's something that we really strive to do. Like I said, we want to not be normal. So we try to do things a little above what we feel is necessary so that we can make a difference. I love farm life. I love where we live and the people that are here. We live in a valley full of great richness, not just in crops, but we have great people around us.
I guess you can see where Robin's influence has come in the operation on that. Yeah, not being normal. I think we do be the difference now. You'll see, or there's a difference, but you see the be the difference that's there below the desk. So we hope to be different, and I hope that this podcast is something that's different for you as well. You've been able to meet not every single family member that's involved in the business, because I can't get them all here. Getting everybody here and getting 5 or 10 or 15 minutes out of them is actually fairly challenging, especially right now with at least 3 harvests going on at the same time simultaneously. And that's something unique about our operation too. We start harvest in April and our last harvest doesn't end until October. So we harvest April through October. And that is something that is not normal for this growing district that we farm in. Again, the podcast, I hope to show those things, the non-normal things, but also the things that we consider normal that you may not, the behind the scenes of everything that we do. And if you enjoy what you're hearing and you want to learn along with me, please like and subscribe to the channel so that you can follow along and know when the new episodes are up. I'm going to have some really, really interesting guests on as well, and people that I certainly agree with and absolutely people that I disagree with. And that's the hope too, is to produce some common sense, some things that other people consider to be common sense that maybe can impact the way that I see the world. And hopefully I can do the opposite too, because we're not all right about everything that we think. And that is, kind of the big picture aspiration that I have for this podcast, is to impact all of us, to understand each other and the world that we live in a better way. So thank you for listening to the podcast. Stay tuned and keep an eye out for the next one. And we'll keep bringing the good content your way. Thanks.